Call to order our city council meeting. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Sylvia?
Mayor Clark.
Here.
Council President Harris.
Here.
Councilor Henderson.
Here.
Councilor Kuiper.
Here.
Councilor Robinson. Here. Councilor King.
Here.
Councilor Browse.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, council. Consent agenda, approval of August 16th, 2016 City Council meeting minutes. Resolution 2016-053, adopting protocol and an evaluation document containing criteria for the review and evaluation of the city manager's job performance and describing process for obtaining staff assessment of manager's performance. Resolution 2016-054, authorizing the city manager to renew the franchise agreement for cable services with Comcast of Oregon 2 Incorporated. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move we approve consent.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, council. Presentation. So we have a couple of proclamations, and these are so amazing. I love reading these proclamations each time they come up. So we've got Constitution Week, September 17th through the 23rd. So we will start with that. And I'm going to get my glasses because there's lots of whereases on these. I would like to welcome, tonight we have Troop 224 Boy Scouts. Thank you for joining us tonight for this riveting council meeting. I'll try to make it so. Proclamation Constitution Week, September 17th through the 23rd, 2016. Whereas our founding fathers, in order to secure the blessings of liberty for themselves and their prosperity, did ordain and establish a Constitution for the United States of America. And whereas it is of the greatest importance that all citizens fully understand the provisions and principles contained in the Constitution in order to support, preserve, and defend it against all encroachment. And whereas the anniversary of the signing of the Constitution provides a historic opportunity for all Americans to realize the achievements of all the framers of the Constitution and the rights, privileges, and responsibilities it affords. And whereas the independence guarantees to American citizens, whether by birth of naturalization, should be celebrated by appropriate ceremonies and activities during Constitution Week, as designated by proclamation of the President of the United States of America, in accordance with Public Law 915. Now therefore, I, Cashin Clark, on behalf of the Sherwood City Council, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th to the 23rd, 2016 as Constitution Week in the city of Sherwood, and urge all citizens to celebrate and to reflect during this week the many benefits of our federal Constitution and American leadership. In witness, I, Cashin Clark, have set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Sherwood to affix this 6th day of September 2016. Thank you. And I believe that we've got a little typo by birth or naturalization. Is that correct?
Oh, that's Mayor.
So we'll correct that. And then we have a second proclamation for the WCCLS 40th anniversary. We are very lucky to have the Washington County Cooperative Library Service, and our citizens declared that we will even support them more in the last passage of the additional bond measure. And so I'm going to read the proclamation of the Washington County Cooperative Library Service 40th anniversary. Whereas public library service in Washington County is provided through a unique and successful partnership of the county, 9 cities, and 3 nonprofit organizations known as Washington County Cooperative Library Services, or WCCLS. And whereas WCCLS was established in 1979 with the passage of the first countywide tax measure to support free public library service for all county residents, binding together the existing public libraries and expanding service in new geographic areas. And whereas Sherwood Public Library is an original member of WCCLS, and voters continue to support this cooperative effort, most recently with approval of increased levy funding in November 2015. And whereas over 265 1,000 county residents proudly possess WCCLS library cards, enjoying access to a collection of over 1.7 million items and visiting our 16 full-service member libraries nearly 3.8 million times per year. And whereas 2016 marks the 40th anniversary of the establishment of WCCLS, and member libraries wish to celebrate this milestone with a variety of fun and festive events scheduled from September to December 2016, and residents are encouraged to pick up a commemorative WCCLS passport at their local library and explore the reading resources available to them. And whereas the County Board of Commissioners, the City Councils of Washington County, and the governing boards of the nonprofit libraries recognize the unique commitment necessary to maintain high-quality public library services for the growing and sophisticated county that we serve. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on this 6th day of September 2016, the Sherwood City Council encourages residents of all ages to visit WCCLS libraries to explore their reading horizons and to celebrate the freedom to read. And be it further resolved that Washington County is a county of readers, and Sherwood is a city of readers, honoring 40 years of free public library access while looking forward to continued service for years to come. Thank you. I think that, because we've got our library personnel right here, deserves a round of applause. Great job. Great job. All right. And Joe, next is Employee Spotlight.
Yes, I'd like to invite Kelly Whitaker to come on up, please. So we're going to recognize some wonderful work that she's done over the last few months. But before I talk about that, I want to talk a little bit about Kelly and her background. So she joined us back on March 3rd, 2014 as a municipal court clerk following her retirement from her position as administrative manager in the U.S. District Court Probation Office, where she worked for 27 years in the federal court system. She was promoted to the city's HR analyst in late November 2015, following the resignation of Cheryl Childers, who you may remember. And she has been a resident of the city of Sherwood since January 2002, married for 28 years, 2 children that went through the Sherwood School District. Her son just graduated from Portland State University. Her daughter is about to start her 2nd year at the University of Oregon. As she says, she's an empty nester, enjoying her return to HR without the long commute. So she's been a big asset and a nice addition to our administration over the last 2 years, but I wanted to recognize her and have the council and the public recognize her for her efforts in leading the city's team in the Relay for Life this past summer. So Kelly took that on when I asked her to kind of take the lead in putting the team together in terms of coordinating. She had a great group of volunteers from various departments. We raised the most money as a team. This is the 4th year I think we've participated in the relay, and this was by far the most successful in terms of raising money. And I think largely that was from her efforts, her enthusiasm and energy, and rallying the troops, so to speak. So we're already starting to raise money for next year's event, and I just wanted to recognize and have council recognize your efforts, Kelly, not only in your day-to-day activities, but in the work you did with Relay for Life. So thank you very much.
Great job, Kelly. Thank you very much for your service. We very much appreciate it. Citizen comments? Do we have citizen forums? Kim Young?
Hi, Kim Young, Sherwood, Oregon. I just have a couple updates here on the YMCA. They just had their, 8th or 9th annual family triathlon, which was very successful. They raised $2,500 for their campaign, which supports their activities at the Y. Coming up on October 22nd, they have a Harvest Festival, which is a free community event. And they have something really fun going on with that, a mini monster marathon, which is costumes, glow sticks, face paint. That sets that event apart, so that'd be really fun for the kids to get involved in it and families. This coming Thursday, there's an event at Jersey Mike's from 4 to 9, and all 30% of those proceeds go towards the YMCA support campaign as well. They also have some new small group training opportunities coming up, one being a Power Walk Fitness Walk small group personal training on Mondays and Wednesdays from 8:30 to 9. These all begin on September 12th. And then they have a Booty Blast with Jody small group personal training on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 to 11:30. And they have a Kettlebells and Core with Melissa small group personal training Mondays and Wednesdays from 5:15 to 5:45. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Okay, I'll close the citizen comment time. New business resolution 2016-055, setting forth Sherwood's commitment to put healthy options within reach of all residents. Joe Gall.
Mayor and Council, I'm going to introduce this item, but I'm going to have Carly Thorstenson come on up because she can give some more details about the Heels City campaign. This process actually goes back to about a year ago, where a number of the city council members, and I think the mayor, when you went to the League of Oregon Cities conference, you went to a session on the Heels Cities program. And we're quite intrigued and came to me and said, Joe, why aren't we a Heel City?
We want to be a Heel City.
And then in your council retreat earlier this year, you identified a goal that we should explore becoming a Heel City. So this resolution tonight, if it is adopted, would add the city of Sherwood to, I believe, 33 other cities in the state of Oregon as official Heel cities. We already meet because of things that we're doing, like the community gardens and our trail system with Cedar Creek Trail. We already meet a number of the policies to be eligible to become a Heel city. By doing this formally, we're basically committing to do more in the future, and then we would go up in our category. I think in the attachment, there are 4 levels, basically, and we would come in, I believe, at level 2, which is the active level, but I think we would get to fit or fabulous pretty quickly. There's also an attachment that gives an idea in terms of the other jurisdictions that are Heel cities, kind of who's in what category. The vast majority are in level 2, which is what, again, if you adopt this resolution tonight, that's where we would start. But I know the nature of this council and this community, we're pretty competitive, and this would probably push us to get to the fit and fabulous level pretty quickly.
And we are fit and fabulous.
Yes, exactly. So that's a very brief introduction. I think Carly can fill in the gaps. There's a pamphlet of information that she's going to share with each of the council members. But with that, Carly, if you can fill in the blanks and then take any questions that the council might have.
Hello, thank you all for having me here tonight. So as Joe said, I work for the Heal Cities campaign, and we're based out of the Oregon Public Health Institute.
Ma'am, could you just
sorry.
scooch that mic over? I just want to make sure that
I'm getting
people that are
recorded.
watching can
Here we
hear
go.
you.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're a nonprofit that works all across Oregon to create vibrant and healthy communities, inspire meaningful community-led change, and we want to demonstrate that health is really more than just healthcare. So the Heal Cities campaign is a joint project of OPHI and the League of Oregon Cities, and it's funded by Kaiser Permanente. Oregon is one of 5 states across the nation that are part of this national Heal campaign. There are actually now 35 Heal cities in Oregon. We just had a couple join. And so far there have been over 80 Heal policies adopted and or implemented throughout the state. The most common ones are increasing walking and biking connectivity and safety, supporting community gardens and farmers markets, and implementing city worksite wellness programs. So through the campaign, we help city officials and staff adopt and implement healthy eating, active living policies to improve the community's physical activity and food environments to promote health and fight obesity. So how it works is Heal staff, me, I offer technical assistance and support as I can, as needed, to adopt the resolution and then work with the cities to find new policies that they're interested. We have a menu of over 40 policies to choose from, and then can help you adopt and implement those as needed. We offer a wide variety of policy choices in land use, transportation, physical activity, employee wellness, shared use agreements, that sort of thing. We also offer small grants for implementation. This year will be our third year distributing funds. In 2014 and 2015, we distributed $35,000 each year to 5 cities each year. Some examples of projects were in Falls City. They rebuilt a deteriorating staircase in the community. Independence built a community garden, and then they harvested all the food and donated it, and the kids had cooking classes and stuff like that. And then Dallas improved park accessibility through a creation of a footbridge and other park amenities, and had signs in both English and Spanish. So those are some examples of different projects. As Joe mentioned, there are 4 levels to the campaign. Level 1 is eager, level 2 is active, which Sherwood would be joining in the campaign at. Level 3 is fit, and level 4 is fabulous, which would be adopting and implementing 2 more new HEAL policies. And because Sherwood you already have several HEAL policies on your books, as outlined in the resolution, that support active transportation, community gardens, a lot of bike and pedestrian safety access policies, and you have a municipal worksite wellness program. So Sherwood will join the campaign at level 2, and then because of an upcoming plan update and a lot of other policies that Joe spoke to me about, I'm sure that Sherwood can rise through the ranks fairly quickly. So in ending, I just want to say that healthy communities don't just happen by accident, and Sherwood's already actively working to help residents be healthy. And adopting this resolution is a great step in prioritizing health and making thoughtful decisions, because every decision that you make impacts residents' health. So I will work with you to identify policies that fit Sherwood and help them help you put them into practice. We want to support what Sherwood is already doing. We know budgets are beyond tight, so it's my job to connect you what you need, resources, other cities that are doing similar work, webinars, grants, and other funding opportunities, free and low-cost options. We also have a customized logo for you to use and want to help recognize what you're doing and brand the city as a HEAL city. So that's it. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I'm excited to work with you.
Well, thank you. That is a great presentation. We, those of us who went to the League of Oregon City conference, heard about this program and got incredibly excited, as Joe said, and I immediately came to him and said, we want this, and as did other counselors. And that is some of the great things that you learn at these conferences from other cities, is you pick up on these amazing programs that are working in other communities. And I think that we were already working on, so the HEAL, just so that the people who are listening, is healthy eating, active living. That is what it stands for. And I think that many of the things that the Sherwood residents crave and want absolutely fall into those categories. I'm very excited that Community Gardens was one of them, because we did also receive an outside grant for that. And so hearing that we would be eligible for outside grants to continue to bring these HEAL programs forward, I think that that's something that would also be attractive to our residents, because I think that we want to invest in ourselves. We want to invest in the health of our communities and the wellness of each other. So thank you. Did council have any questions, additional questions for staff?
I just have something to say. So thank you. First of all, I'm part of an organization that actually received a HEAL grant
Oh, great.
for a diabetes prevention program. So thank you for that. And I'm one of the counselors that was very excited about this program. Several years ago, through the Chamber of Commerce, we tried to do a Fit City Challenge. So I see this as an addial way to really bring home the idea of health and wellness.
Yeah, it's a great way to also leverage, to get other grants and to do other challenges and to get your, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, I'd like to move that we adopt Resolution 2016-055, setting forth Sherwood's commitment to put healthy options within reach of all residents.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Have a public hearing, ordinance 2016-012, amending multiple sections of the zoning and community development code, including divisions 1, 2, and 3 as it relates to the regulation of recreational marijuana facilities. Sylvia, do you need to read?
Mayor, the statement was read at the previous meeting.
Okay,
So we should
and
be
so previous statement stands. I will go to staff.
Good evening, Council, Mayor Clark. I'm here tonight to present the Ordinance 2016-2012 on behalf of the Planning Commission recommendation for recreational marijuana facilities. This is the second reading before you this evening. The first reading on August 16th also contained information from the Planning Commission recommendation and other exhibits concerning that. So your packet contains the City Council information, the proposed ordinance, as well as the proposed code amendments on behalf of the Planning Commission. Also, because this is the second reading, we decided to poll council and see if you would like to have the presentation repeated again, or would a brief overview suffice at this time?
I'd be fine with a brief overview, council. Okay. If citizens want to have the full presentation, it was in our previous council meeting, and that can be found online.
Sure.
Staff?
Thank you. So with that, I'll get started. The proposed amendments include adding definitions for the different recreational facility license types, all through different zoning restrictions concerning time, place, and manner regulations, and also a Type 2 process, which is a staff-level decision, but it also contains some notice requirements. And I'll go over those very briefly throughout this presentation. So recreational marijuana facilities, the decision is now up to the voters. So the council placed that issue on the November ballot to determine whether to ban these facilities permanently. Until the voters decide, there's a moratorium on recreational facilities in Sherwood. These amendments that are before you this evening will only take effect if the voters decide not to ban recreational marijuana facilities. So these will go into place if there's not a ban. The Oregon Liquor Control Commission, OLCC, is regulating recreational marijuana facilities for the state of Oregon, and there's 5 different license types, from producers who grow marijuana all the way to retail sale, the sale of marijuana. So we'll be talking a little bit about those throughout this presentation. So here's an overview of our 7 different commercial and industrial zones, as well as the 5 different license types and where it's proposed to be permitted or not permitted. And I'll very briefly go over those. One of the main things that we heard from citizens, they were interested in producer license types specifically. So we really categorized some of the regulations specific to that and addressing their concerns that they may have. It's proposed to be only in the general and light industrial. Only indoor growing operations are allowed, and there are some odor mitigation measures taken into account in the regulations, and they need to be 100 feet from a residential zone. And that includes all of the 5 different license types that are before you. They all need to be at least 100 feet, and in some cases much more, from a residential zone. And here's what that looks like on the map. The colored areas are the eligible producer license, and the blacked out ones are where they would be permitted based on the zoning, but because they're so close to residential neighborhoods that they are prohibited. So we take a look at that, and then producers wouldn't be allowed in that zone. Oh, I'm sorry.
I couldn't figure out the body language.
You want me to turn my screen on? Okay. So, and another interesting, or another aspect that citizens were concerned about were the retail sales operators. So we created some special rules concerning the retail or selling recreational marijuana directly to customers. And that zoning is proposed to be permitted in the general commercial, light industrial, and general industrial zones. No mobile or walk-up deliveries involved. And then retail facilities can't be within 1,000 feet of a school. That's the state rule. They can't be 1,000 feet from another retail and medical marijuana facility or in a public, or need to be at least 1,000 feet from a public park or plaza. And those are our local rules that we've added to that. Additionally, they need to be 100 feet from a residential zone as well as those other license types. That's something that the Planning Commission added to their recommendation before you. And they can't be larger than 3,000 square feet in size. And that's how that transfers to the map there. That yellow circle is where our medical marijuana facility is located off of Tualatin Sherwood Road. So no facilities can be within the area of 1,000-foot radius of that area for the medical marijuana dispensaries. And the green and the blue circles are the 1,000-foot school buffers as well. So we're limited to the area near Tualatin Sherwood Road and the general and light and other industrial areas. So processors, wholesalers, and testing are lumped a little bit more together with the time, place, and manner restrictions. We really heard strongly that they didn't want any of these facilities to be located in Old Town, so there's that prohibition. Also the residential zone, and no outdoor storage of marijuana as well. So very briefly, the processor regulations are limited to those, all the 3 different industrial zones. The wholesalers are added the general commercial to those industrial zones with the prohibitions in the gray outline along 99W. You might see those as well as Langer Farms Parkway and also along Oregon Street fall within that 100-foot buffer. That's what that kind of translates to. And why am I not clicking? And finally, the zoning for the testing and lab does allow office commercial, general commercial, and retail commercial, but it also is confined to that 100-foot buffer, so it is seemingly limited to the areas north of Tualatin Sherwood Road as well as the industrial areas. And finally, the Planning Commission recommendation is to adopt the Ordinance 2016-12, amending the regulations concerning recreational marijuana facilities with an effective date pending that November 8th election result certification. And with that, I will take any questions that you might have.
So could you go back to the processing clip?
Sure. The rules or the
No,
map?
just keep going. Right there. So just to make sure that we are in the city of Sherwood in no way inferring that the Tillamook Cheese Factory is processing marijuana.
Is that what that is?
That is correct, right? Okay.
Right,
It's
so they're
just-
taking,
okay.
yes, processing. Whatever's in that box,
Make
it's
sure.
not cheese.
Could be cheesy marijuana.
Just clearing, just making sure.
There's a
Okay.
new idea born every day, right?
All right. Council, did you have any other questions?
somebody in the United States who's blending marijuana with cheese.
I just wanted to
Wisconsin bad.
make sure. We did not want a phone call from the city of Tillamook.
Sure.
Okay. Council, did you have any other questions? For staff?
I have several questions.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Not having been at the August 16th meeting, where in the city council staff report is it that analysis and findings were made to support the planning commission recommendation as identified in the ordinance on page 271?
So the ordinance refers to the Planning Commission recommendation where the findings are made and included in that.
Well, I'm asking you where in the city staff report is located.
That's the city staff report is an overview of what is being presented and includes as an attachment the Planning Commission recommendation. Josh, did you want to speak to that? That's kind of a procedural how that's laid out.
My understanding is that was attached just to the first hearing staff report, and that's been, I guess, the policy here. There's no legal reason why it has to be done that way versus attaching it both times, but my understanding is that's been the practice here.
Well, my own preference is if a council member is missing from the first reading, you need to include it in this packet. Because I didn't have the first packet available to me. And I don't like adopting an ordinance where it says I'm incorporating something that's not in the packet. The second part of that is on 272, where it says the city council adopts the findings of fact contained in the planning commission recommendation as documented in attached exhibit 1. Well, I don't know where the finding of facts are that you're referring to that are being adopted in the ordinance. And if I can't find it, you can sure bet that someone from the public can't find it. So why don't you tell me where that is?
It's in the Planning Commission recommendation attachment, makes those findings.
So you're asking me to adopt something that's not in our packet, and it's not attached as Exhibit 1, even though it says it's attached.
Maybe I'm confused.
So it's attached to the original first reading.
It's actually not in Exhibit 1. I think it might have been Attachment 1 to a staff report. But if you go back from August 8th, Attachment 1 is several pages, and I'm not sure where findings of fact are. Are you talking about the applicable statewide planning goals include, and it lists the goals, and then underneath that goal, it says finding. Is that a finding of fact that you're wanting to incorporate?
Yes, that's a finding of fact.
Okay.
Julia, can you?
Yeah, and just to just clarify or add, when we are doing the land use reviews, we've always envisioned it's the entire packet. So if someone wanted to see what went into a decision, they would be able to look at the entire record, which includes that August 16th packet of materials as well, which is why Josh was saying, we often will reference that and not necessarily just from a council packet cleanliness standpoint, not carry everything forward into meeting after meeting after meeting. But and we certainly could have referenced that August 16th meeting a little bit more in terms of the attachments that were included in that. We will certainly keep that in mind in the future to avoid any confusion. But everything that was before the city council and frankly the planning commission is part of the record. So whatever anybody wants to see that was included in that, they'd be able to look at that planning file and see what's included in the record, which includes the planning commission recommendation and the findings that they recommended and the council had in their packet at the last meeting.
And also any testimony that they might hear, anything that helps them make their decision is part of then they make a finding.
So I think what might be helpful is if in the second reading, because we, again, are sort of going through all of these ordinance for second reading, if there is a notation attached in packet,
yeah, and I think that's certainly something that we as all city staff can keep in mind as we move forward.
Because then as the citizens are looking at it, as Councilor Robinson is stating, they're not searching through this going, why is it not here? Where is that? And there's, a paren that, enclosed in packet 1 and then the date. Yeah. So that is easily recoverable.
Sure.
Okay. Did you have another question, Councilor Robinson?
Well, I think it should be revised in the ordinance to refer to the correct exhibit because there are no findings of fact in the Exhibit 1.
Are you referring to Section 1 findings on the second page?
Yes.
272. So what that's saying is you're adopting the findings of fact, and those findings support that the SZCDC shall be amended as documented in Exhibit 1.
Oh, okay.
So Exhibit 1 is just the amendments to the code.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's maybe a little confusing the way that's written. So that's the Exhibit 1 is the amendments to the code. I think the confusion is there was an Attachment 1 to the staff report, which was those findings of fact. So I think the ordinance as written does not need to be revised. I think it's the staff report.
Well,
as the mayor was just describing, that needs to be clarified.
But being a lawyer, I can tell you that when you say findings of fact, and you have whereas, those are findings of fact. And you incorporate those findings of fact to ordain and make your conclusions. The findings of fact contained in the Planning Commission recommendation is not attached.
Right, and so as I understand it, the previous practice here was to attach everything to the ordinance. That's what I did at the county before coming here. The downside to that is you end up with ordinances that are, this thick. And so the transition was made, I guess, some years before I got here to not attach everything to the ordinance, just to attach the code changes to the ordinance.
Well,
There's not a right or wrong answer to that. I think it's just a procedural
and
preference.
that's not why I'm complaining. I'm complaining because you are referencing something in this ordinance that is not attached.
Right,
And if
that's
it
what I'm saying.
said instead, as attached, as attachment 1 to the staff report, then it would be accurate. So you don't want to change the staff report on the second reading, then you're going to have to attach the exhibits, is kind of what I'm saying.
So, Councilor Robinson, would you like to propose a change in the wording so that it is more reflective of the attachment that was shown previously?
Well, after recommendation, we can insert the language identified in attachment 1 to staff report of August, whatever that last meeting was.
So could you give us the date so that that can be? Okay. Josh, did you get that written down?
So the new Section 1 findings would read, after full and due consideration of the application, the Planning Commission recommendation identified in Attachment 1 to the staff report of August 16, 2016, the record, findings, and evidence presented at the public hearings, the City Council adopts the findings of fact containing the Planning Commission recommendation, finding that the text of the SCZDC shall be amended as documented in attached Exhibit 1.
I move we amend the statement as stated by Josh Soper.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, thank you. That does some clarification for reading the packet. Did you have any other? Okay, thank you, Councilor Robinson. Any other questions for staff? Thank you. All right, I'll open up the public hearing. Do we have any public comment forms? All right, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council. Council, do you have any questions or would you like to make a motion?
I move that we caption and adopt, oops, let me find it. Ordinance 2016-012, amending multiple sections of the zoning and community development code, including divisions 1, 2, and 3, as it relates to the regulation of recreational marijuana facilities.
As amended?
Oh, yeah.
As amended.
Second.
Sylvia?
Ordinance 2016-012, amending multiple sections of the zoning and community development code, including divisions 1, 2, and 3, as it relates to the regulation of recreational marijuana facilities. Councilor Browse?
Aye.
Councilor Robinson?
Aye.
Councilor Kuiper?
Aye.
Councilor King?
Aye.
Councilor Henderson?
Aye.
Council President Harris?
Aye.
Mayor Clark?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, council. City manager report.
Mayor and Council, I had just one item, and it's more of an update. And Councilor Kuiper, I know you're going to be happy about this. Sherwood Citizens University, which you may recall, we attempted to launch that in the spring and didn't get a really good number of applicants. Well, things have changed. As I reported in my weekly update to Council, I think we're up to nearly 25 applicants so far for the fall series, and there's still I think the deadline we posted was September 23rd. Now I'm a little worried that we're going to get too many people.
No such thing.
But that's a better situation to have. So the first class starts on October 6th. We'll be doing Thursday nights for, I think, 6 weeks in a row. The folks that are applying online are all very, very enthusiastic in wanting to learn. And when you think about folks being willing to sign up for this series of classes, 15 hours over a 5 or 6 week period is a pretty large time commitment for folks. So we're excited to do the first series. I hope we get some more applicants. I know 3 of the 6 announced council candidates that are running for office have signed up or applied to be in the class. I think that's awesome because it'll be a good lesson for any future councilor to learn more about how the city operates. So kudos to the council, and especially Councilor Kuiper. I know this was a vision of yours or a passion to get this started, and I think we're going to get this started next month. So
Thank you, Joe.
Yep.
Thank you for all your work on that.
and I know a number of the councilors have been, encouraging people to do this, so I appreciate that. So that's the only comment I had. If you have any questions for me or the department heads that are here, I know you still have a busy night ahead of you. So,
Council, you have any questions? Councilor Kuiper, can you please just talk a little bit about the Citizen University and where that all came about? And
Sure. Just really briefly, that's really one of the reasons why I ran for council, is because I realized that the more I started to get involved in wanting to be a part of the community, the more I realized that there was a lot of information that I had, but there was a lot of information that I didn't have. And what I realized is that most citizens understand what the requirements are or what the responsibilities are of city government to the citizens. But there's a reciprocating responsibility there of the citizens to the government. And what I, over the past couple of years living in Sherwood, I realized that I don't think that was always out there on the forefront of people's minds. It was very similar to what John F. Kennedy says, ask not what the country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I really feel like it's very similar at the city level, and it's very important, and it's an incumbent upon all citizens to really understand how a city functions, understand that there's more to the story than you think there is. There's always more information that you can learn, and having a Citizens University is just one of those ways that you can do that. And it's something that's done all across the country. So I was really excited when I started to do research, and I talked to Joe about it. The city manager already has a good understanding of what Citizens University was all about. But when I started to look more into it, there's a lot of cities across the country that do have a Citizens University, and I thought it was time to bring it back to Sherwood. So I'm real excited about it.
thank you.
So thank you.
And I really appreciate you bringing it forward. Serving on council and in our boards and commissions is a difficult task, and the issues are complex. And so I think that it's wonderful that you have given this opportunity to people and gotten the word out that maybe there'll be great interest in serving on one of our boards or commissions, and that I've heard from more than one counselor that becoming a counselor is a little bit like hitting the fry pan with all of the information, codes, and that you have to learn, and in a very short amount of time. And as Councilor Robinson was talking about the packets, being this thick, and I've heard people say we don't envy you reading those giant packets, but in each page there's something that is to be learned and has to be thoughtfully gone through and discussed in an open public setting. So thank you for bringing that forward. And thank you, Joe, and thank you to all of the counselors that have been messaging to all the residents about the opportunity. So this is an opportunity, and I love that. I wanted to give just a couple of announcements that are going to be happening in the next couple weeks. This coming Thursday, I'm going to be going to the Greater Portland Inc. Economic Summit, and on Thursday as well from 4 to 9:30, the Spaghetti Factory is going to have a youth football fundraiser. So if on Thursday night you would like to go to dinner at the Spaghetti Factory, please mention the Sherwood Youth Football program, and they will donate some of the profits of that evening to that program, and it's a great program. At 4:30 on that day as well, I'm going to a ribbon cutting at the St. Paul Lutheran School, and so I'll be looking forward to doing that as well. On Friday, I have Southwest Corridor Steering Committee in the morning and Washington County Mayor's meeting in the afternoon. And then on the following Monday, I am a member of the R1 Act 1 Transportation Board, which is a statewide transportation board for ODOT. And on the 19th, I will be going to the State Committee on Transportation to hear the governor. So, Council President? Our public comment time is gone, so I'm sorry, sir, you'll have to wait.
When I talked about the university, I wanted to sign up, but they said almost filled up.
So we can, staff, could you assist with that?
I'm just told, so
Yeah.
I wanted to know exactly.
Fantastic, yep. I'll hook you up with our staff. Council President?
I just want to remind everyone that our art walk is the 15th of September. If you haven't been to these events, they're fantastic. You walk around the city with a little passport that you get stamped at different venues, and there are different art projects going on at different businesses, and it's really a partnership between Sherwood Main Street and the cultural arts, and the library participates, and it's super fun, fabulous event, rain or shine. Also, a quick save the date for April 2017. The gala date has been officially set for April 15th. So the Sherwood Center for the Arts annual fundraising gala will be April 15th of next year. Also, their fall classes begin at the end of this month, and they are adding a bunch of fun classes, especially for kids. They have some toddler art classes. They have some parent and toddler music classes, also ceramics, photography, all kinds of classes for young and old across the spectrum, Sherwood residents or beyond. And our library, just to shout them out, again, the 40th anniversary, the mayor already read the proclamation, so we're all excited about 40 years of free libraries. But also, I wanted to just let you know that there's a conflict resolution class on Saturday, September 10th from 10 to 11 a.m. That's a fabulous class to go learn some conflict resolution tips. And then they added a new story time, Fun for Ones. It's on Wednesdays. They now do story times Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at the library. They pretty much meet all age groups from 0 up. And it's just a super fun, exciting time at the library with a new story time and things like that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Council President. Council Robinson?
I don't have any.
Okay. Council King?
Oh, I forgot.
Council President stole my thunder, but Sherwood Main Street will be having their general meeting a week from Thursday of next week. So that's all I got.
I forgot to say we have 2 library board positions open, one within the city limits of Sherwood and one outside the city limits for Greater Washington County area. So 2 openings for the library board. They meet every other month, so the commitment is a little lower than some of the other boards in Sherwood, but they're a really fun bunch.
And it's a great opportunity for those who are within Sherwood community but not within the Sherwood city limits to get involved. So this is a great opportunity for that. So thank you for that. Councilor Kuiper?
Yeah, just a couple of things. So the Woodhaven Park, everyone has probably seen it's moving along well underway. The trail has been cut to grade along the backside of the park, so that's good. The parking lot part that runs along the side of the Sunset Boulevard has been dug out. But the big announcement is that on Thursday, they will be closing the road, the entire road from 6 a.m. to about 7 p.m. from Pinehurst all the way down to Riken Park, so they can install some drains, some catch basins. So if you're taking kids to school, you're going to have to go a different way. I believe that's, thank you to Kristen Schweitzer, who's not here, but she gave me that. So just wanted everyone to know that. There's a couple of neighborhood meetings coming up. Can I say that? Sure. Neighborhood meetings, because the developers are interested in building. So I'm going to tell you all about 2 neighborhood meetings coming up. The first one is Wednesday, which is tomorrow, September 7th at 6:45 p.m. This is a neighborhood meeting for a hotel that the developers are proposing at the intersection of Meineke and Highway 99. It is a Hampton Inn. They have sent out an announcement to a local neighborhood. Usually I think it's within 500 feet, or I can't remember what the distance is. 1,000 feet? Okay. But basically I consider Sherwood the entire neighborhood. So if you if you have an interest in that and you want to know more, this is not, they have not turned in an application. This is before that. They are gauging interest and they want to hear from the citizens. So if you have an interest, please go to that meeting tomorrow at the Senior Center at 6:45 p.m. Monday, the 12th, there is another meeting for a larger development at the corner of Edie and, Edie and 99, which is behind the Providence Medical Center area, that whole area there. Some developers are proposing to build, a senior housing, senior living center with 2 different options. One of them includes a hotel and with some retail development. That meeting is at 6:30 p.m. on Monday the 12th at the Sherwood Center for the Arts. That's also a neighborhood meeting where you can go and I'm assuming that they're going to have different designs that people can to go and talk about and talk to them and ask them questions. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilor Browns?
So I attended a meeting recently with Oregon Ask and the Washington County Kids Fund in regards to STEM training or STEM teaching, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, and the importance of making sure that's a part of the after-school curriculum. And several of the partners are trying to write a grant that will help fund some more of those after-school activities. Also attended a Sherwood Advocating for Older Adults. It's a new group that's formed here in Sherwood. We meet monthly at the Senior Center. It's a discussion group, again, with community partners that are really advocating for our older adults, from training that is available for our older adults, transportation, and so on and so forth. So that is, again, a monthly meeting that's taking place advocating for our seniors. Was just asked to become a board member for Just Compassion. You might remember that Rob Watson and Darla were here a couple months ago to advocate for the homeless and day shelters and such in our area. So really looking forward to being involved in that group and helping to find an end to homelessness. On September 24th is Peace Day, and our Sherwood Rotary Club will be participating in that. There will be a first ever in Sherwood peaceful dedication that morning at 10:30 at the rec center, the YMCA. And then there will be a peace walk from the Y to the Sherwood Old Town area, where there will be a speaker that will be talking about the Holocaust and his experience there. So hopefully you'll join us. It'll be a great event. Neighbor to Neighbor Day is coming up October 1st. So again, it's an opportunity to really help our local older adults. And if you know anybody who needs help or a team member who would like to participate, contact Lisa McGuigan. She's taking those names and numbers. And then in the world of chamber, the mayor talked about a ribbon cutting that's this Thursday, but there's tons of other things going on at the chamber. The next breakfast is September 13th. And the discussion will be the Department of Labor and all the changes that will take effect on December 1st. There will be a mixer on Tuesday, September 20th at Pride Disposal at 7:30 in the morning. September 22nd at 4 p.m., if I can read my writing, All-State ribbon cutting. And then on September 29th at 5:30, there's a PM mixer at Innovative Nightscapes here in Sherwood. And then the ever-famous Onion Festival is coming up on October 8th. I just wanted to, okay, you don't want to talk about that?
Well, you're on a chamber roll, so.
And the Voters Forum has just been announced. It's Wednesday, October, I can't read that. Is it the 6th? 5th. Thank you, at 6:30 to 8:30.
And it's a jointly sponsored program with the
Sherwood Chamber
and high school leadership team.
Oh, awesome. See, I haven't read that yet. Thank you. And last but not least, just wanted to give a shout out for the Chamber Golf Tournament. They did a great job again this year. Raised, I think, close to or over $10,000 to go back and support our local businesses. That's all I have.
Councilor Henderson?
Sorry. Police Advisory Board is coming up this next Thursday, which is, goodness, 15th? 15th. And certainly hoping that after our work session tonight that the information that we'll be receiving would be something that we would ask their input on I think that's why we have boards and commissions, and hoping that it might be a little early to send it to them, but certainly would like to see us tap them. They're also talking about the Community Academy, which has been an academy that's very, very important to the chief, that is sort of running in parallel to the Citizens Academy. Obviously, the police department will participate in the Citizens Academy, but there's a lot of additional information that can be given at the PD public safety level, and I think that's the goal of that future academy. I participated in the Chamber Golf Tournament. We had 60 participants, which is a lot. Some of us were, color coordinated, like Mr. Gall, and some of us weren't. And just want to remind, yes. We'd just like to remind everybody with school starting to pay attention to school zones and children crossing, maybe not in a crosswalk, including the high school, and just being ever careful of children who don't always think twice or think rationally when crossing a street. Was at the football game last weekend against Westview, which was a very hard-fought game. And they lost, sadly, but I think that they, in overtime, played commendably. And I would also, having a Celtic background, my grandfather immigrated from Scotland in 1911, they have, the marching band did a Celtic, and in addition to the dance team, they did a Celtic number that was probably the best I've ever seen at the high school level. Try, dancing and marching while playing an instrument or twirling a flag. So I just really wanted to compliment Mr. Stye and all the parents who support the Band Booster Club, because I thought it was just amazing, and I wish that they had been on the turf more than 8 minutes.
They were fantastic.
Yes. You already mentioned the Chambers Forum, and I just have two other things. I'm, with great sadness but complete understanding, wanted to send out thank yous and best wishes to Sweet Story, who announced that they'll be closing at the end of September, so that Darren and Michelle can spend more time with their boys, and I will greatly miss them and their Betty bars. And but really wanted to acknowledge their contribution to our community in supporting groups of all, sports, arts, chamber, and just wish them the best. And I know that, of course, they'll land on their feet. They're both very talented and very compassionate and very giving people. So I just wanted to make sure that we acknowledge their contribution. And they've lived here a long time. So, and then the last question I have is for Josh. Just as a clarification for myself and maybe other members of council, when we have an agenda item that we're discussing, can you call for the question before discussion?
I don't have the council rules in front of me, but my recollection is that calling for the question is supposed to take place after every councilor has had at least an opportunity to speak on that item.
Okay.
I have to double check to get the exact language for you, but I believe that's the general.
That's what I remember from Robert's Rule of Order. I don't have council rules in front of me, but so before you can have a second, you can have a motion and a second, but you're supposed to have discussion before calling for a vote, correct?
I believe every councilor is supposed to have the opportunity to speak if they desire.
They desire, yes.
Question. That's right.
Okay. So if we voted on an item without discussion, then potentially that would be a violation of council rules.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we have a work session after this, and so what we'll do is we're going to adjourn, and then we'll take a 5-minute break, and then we will come back. So we are adjourned. Thank you.
And implement those through the development code. So the basic development process for the city of Sherwood is for first someone to set up a pre-application meeting to come into the city.